Let's look at an example in our homework. This is question 11. So question 11 says, find the present value for the future amount. So we're looking for our initial investment, knowing what our final investment needs to be. So our future value is 15,000, and we know our investment's being has an interest rate of 4%. It's compounded quarterly for 5 years. So we have a formula here that we can use to solve the problem. So we're looking for the present value. So we need to know the future value. So the future value was given to be the $15,000. So the question is, what does our present value need to be to get to $15,000? We have a rate of interest of 4%, which is going to be 0.04. The number of times it's being compounded, since it's being compounded quarterly, that means 4 times a year. And then we're going for 4.5 years. So they did a little wrinkle on us, a decimal for the years, 5.5 years, if you will. So not a full year, not a full 6 years or a full 5 years, kind of right there in the middle. So if we substitute in, whoa, something just happened here. Let's see. So as we continue on here, hopefully I got the glitch fixed here. So now we need to just substitute into our formula. So the future value is going to be the 15,000. And this is going to be over then in parentheses 1 plus the rate of interest is 0.04 divided by n, which is 4, and then raised to n times t. So that's going to be 4 times then this 5.5. That looks like a lot to type in. So what I'm going to do on the calculator is just type in the numerator to start with, 15,000, hit enter. And then I'm going to type the denominator in a separate piece. So in parentheses, I've got 1 plus, and then this is a fraction. So alpha F1. So 0.04 divided by 4. Come out of there. Close parentheses. Let me see if I make that a little bit bigger. See that a little bit better now. So if I want to raise that then to, oops, that's not raising it. Come back down. So this little arrow here, looks like we're okay still. So this is 4 times 5.5. 4 times 5.5. So it gives me that on the bottom. So what we need to do is now divide those two. So to divide those two, what I do is I go up here with my arrow and I highlight the 15,000, press enter. It kind of like copy and pastes it. And then I want to divide by, and I go up there with my up arrow and I highlight the 1.244 thingy. So that number there, hit enter. So it pastes it there. So now I have the numerator divided by the denominator. Hit enter, and it gives me then my present value has to be $12,050 with what, 94 cents. So it does say round to the nearest cent. So notice that your present value should be smaller than your future value because you're trying to build up to it. So if you didn't get an answer smaller than the future value, then that does make sense to be the present value because you're trying to grow your money. So $12,050.94 seems to be the answer. So question 12 also says find the present amount for the future amount. So let's see if we can do another one of these. So again, we want to know our present value. So we have to know what we have to be given as our future value. So they're saying our future value is this $9,890. The rate of interest is 3.5%. but I got to move the decimal two places to the left. So 1, 2 means that's going to be actually 0.035. A little tricky there. The number of times being compounded is that the semi-annually means twice a year. And the number of years is going to be 14 years. So that's how I take note of writing that down. And then I just put my equal sign and I start replacing my knowns with knowns. So the future value we now know is 9,890 over then in parentheses this 1 plus the rate of interest, which is this 0.035. And we divide that by the number of times compounded, which is 2. And then we have to raise that to V and T, which means we got to multiply that by 2 times the number of years is 14. So again, to do this, I'm going to kind of do it twofold. I'm going to do the 9,890, press enter, and then I'm going to do the denominator in parentheses, 1 plus, and then there's a fraction button up here, F1, second F1, N over D. Just hit enter, it'll take it. My denominator, my numerator's got to be 0.035. And then the denominator there has to be the 2. Come out of the denominator, use my directional pad arrow. So it came out, close my parenthesis, and then I need an exponent, so this little key here will raise it up. And then I know that 2 times 14 is 28. So I'm going to just go ahead and put a 28 there. Hit enter, and that's the denominator. So now what I want to do though is I want to divide the numerator by the denominator. So I use my up arrow and I highlight the 9,890, hit enter, copy it and paste it, divided it by, go up to this number here, hit enter, it'll copy and paste it for me. So now it's dividing those two values, hit enter, and I'm getting 6,084 and 61 cents. Since we have to round to the nearest cent, notice how I have to round the 0, but what tells me how to do that is the 7. Since the 7 is 5 or more, we know we have to round up to 61 as opposed to keep it at 60. So our answer goes to that. And again, notice how your present value is smaller than the future value. So that makes sense. Okay. So I believe that closes out our first section, 13.1, working with interest.